China's gonna eat our lunch. Well, guess what, man? We don't taste that good.
That's so funny, right? Well, this is why none of us should take them seriously when Team Biden claims to be taking the China threat seriously. Now, remember, Biden's a guy who uses Chinese-controlled TikTok to post campaign videos despite his own administration warning that TikTok poses a serious national security risk. Everything Biden's done so far has pretty much helped China, help enrich China and himself. So it should be no surprise when we see right through his new plan to protect Americans. The Washington Post reporting that Biden will issue an executive order this week to prevent the bulk flow of American-sensitive data, including genetic information, to hostile foreign countries, including China. Joining me now is Gordon Chang, senior fellow at the Gatestone Institute and author of China is Going to War. Gordon, the headline sounds very promising, but that's not exactly the case when you read deep into the piece. Explain.
Well, there's a lot of reasons. For one thing, if Biden were worried about the bulk transfer of data to China, he wouldn't be urging his followers to transfer their data to China by joining TikTok. Now, this is rulemaking. That means we're not going to see an executive order for months. If Biden were serious, what he'd be doing is he would be taking China's law on data transfers to foreign parties, and he would be adopting the same in his executive order, just changing the date and putting U.S. at the top of the document rather than China. There's so much that Biden can do immediately, but he's not.
Well, and the experts on internet security and data also say that an executive order of this type would be very limited. So just like as he kind of puts, throws out these fig leaves on the border issue, it's really just meant for political cover. It's not, you're not really taking it seriously, not just TikTok, but everything he's done with China would be much more differently focused.
Yeah, well, with regard to these rules, remember, this only applies to bulk transfers of data. China can get this data, at onesies and twosies. This has so many loopholes in it that the loopholes are actually bigger than the proposed rule as described by the Washington Post. But when you look at his tech rules, when you look at what he's doing with the military, these are really minimal things. He's doing the minimum amount that is politically feasible. So really, we have to be concerned about Biden. And by the way, when the Chinese fly that big spy balloon over our country, Biden just sort of welcomes it. And what does he do? He doesn't do anything until it's collected all that data and sent it back to China.
Okay, a lot of people haven't seen this next soundbite. This was Biden in a meeting with the Governors Association where he mentions his relationship with President Xi of China. Watch this.
I've spent a lot of time with Xi Jinping. When I was vice president, my president told me that he wanted me to get to know Xi Jinping because it was clear he was going to be the head of Russia, of China. And he said, "Can you define America for me?" I looked at him, I said, "Yes, I can," in one word. And I said, "Possibilities."
It kind of confused the heads of state there, but that's nice talk. America's the land. First of all, America's about freedom. That's what you would tell Xi Jinping. Possibilities, that's kind of bland. It's freedom, something that China doesn't know anything about or wants to trample.
Oh, yeah. Well, China is the enemy of freedom around the world, not just in China, but it's trying to stifle freedom in our country and elsewhere. And Biden, he brags about he's spent more time with Xi Jinping than any other American. But if that's the case, why are our relations with China so tense? Why is China acting so belligerently? I think it's because they've seen Biden and they realize that, first of all, they own him. That's what the Chinese think. And also, I think that they believe that he just does not have the right attitudes towards defending America. He just doesn't care about defending our country. Look at the migrants surging across our borders from China, including the soldiers. Biden couldn't care less.
Yeah, so 20,000 Chinese come across the border. Why would she take Biden seriously? It's like, can you imagine 20,000 Americans crossing into China? What do you think would happen with that?
That's not happening. But, some of those migrants coming across China, matter of fact, the more recent ones, these are the soldiers. And some of these soldiers who have been in our country for less than 3 weeks, They're taking target practice with rifles and pistols. You can't make this stuff up. And also, a couple of Chinese migrants, the rumors say, were actually using sonar to look at American vessels in American ports. They're doing this from underwater. This really is serious. I mean, there is a risk of espionage here and a risk of sabotage.
Yeah, well, we need real reporting on this. That would be nice to have that done. Gordon, thank you very much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.